Welcome back to a new post today. Let's today look at the most important points that you need to keep track for October 9th and 10th and 11th with regard to the UPSC upcoming preliminary civil services examination of 2025. And the very first is about a South Korean author Han Kang being awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature, and she was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature that was established by Alfred Nobel in 1895. 5 Nobel Prizes have been established under his will, and the literature is traditionally the final award that is presented at the Nobel Prize ceremony. On some occasions, the award has been postponed as well, for most recently 2018. Now, the Swedish Literature Prize is awarded annually along with the other 4 prizes, and it's since 1901. And it says that the literature award is given by Alfred Nobel as spelled out in his will in the field of literature, producing the most outstanding work in an idealistic direction. And Han Kang of South Korea has been awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature. She has a uniqueness of connections between the body and soul, and living and dead, and a poetic and experimental style have become an innovator in contemporary prose. The Nobel Prize for Physics now has been awarded to John Hopfield and Geoffrey Hinton for the foundational discoveries and inventions for enabling machine learning with artificial neural networks. This year's Nobel laureates used the tools for physics to construct the methods that lay the foundation for today's powerful machine learning. John Hopfield created a structure that can store and reconstruct the information, and Hinton invented a method that can independently discover the properties of the data, which has become important for a large artificial neural network now in use. And Hopfield created an associative memory to store and reconstruct the images and other types of patterns of data. So this will definitely help in machine learning. The Chemistry Prize for 2024 has been given to David Barker, who has succeeded the impossible feat of creating an entirely new kind of proteins. So Hassabis along with Jumper have developed an AI model to solve a 50-year-old problem regarding the predicting of the complex proteins structures, and this discovery has enormous potential. Let me tell you that proteins are chemical tools of the diversity of lifestyle, and they control and drive all the chemical reactions in the body with regard to every creature on this earth. Proteins also functions as hormones, signal substances, antibodies, and also building blocks of different tissues. Now, proteins generally consist of 20 different amino acids, which can be described as the life's building blocks. Barker succeeded in using these blocks or the amino acids to design a very new protein which was unlike any other protein. And since there's this research group has produced imaginative protein creation one after the other, these proteins are now going to be used for treatment of various diseases in the pharmaceuticals, vaccines, nanomaterials, and also tiny sensors as well. The Nobel Prize in Biology has been given for the discovery of the microRNA, which controls the gene regulation. It is a fundamental governing system of our living, of any living being. All the organs and tissues are made up of cells. They stores the DNA information or the genes, and information stored within our chromosomes can be looked at as a manual in the cells in our body. Every cell contains some chromosomes. Chromosomes contain some information, and the same set of cell also contains genes. Now, these genes use these informations to provide it to the cell, and the cell provides it to the various organs like muscles, nerves, etc. Every organ and every muscle has its own distinctive characteristics. Now, gene regulation. How does the gene provide different information to different cells which make up different organs? That is known as gene regulation, which allows the cell to select only relevant instruction. That means the cell provides a relevant instruction from the gene to that particular organ to its particular function. And how does this happen? This happens by gene regulation, and therefore Ambrose and Rufkin have now identified this gene regulation happens through microRNA, which is a tiny class of RNA molecules that play a very crucial role in gene regulation. Now, the groundbreaking discovery revealed a completely new set of gene regulation that turned out to be very essential for multicellular organisms organisms like humans as well. And it is known that the human genome codes over 1000 microRNAs. The surprising discovery revealed an entirely new dimension of gene regulation. MicroRNAs are provided to be the fundamental important of how organisms develop and function. So the next most important issue is about Hizbul Tahrir, now being pronounced an organization as a terrorist organization under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Let me tell you, the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act was recently amended in 2019 to not only designate individuals as terrorists but also organizations. Now, the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act is a law that defines terrorism, and any act that falls under the scope of the treaty listed in the Act schedule is treated as a terrorist activity. UAPA also allows the central government to designate individuals or organizations as terrorists if they commit or participate in terrorist acts, prepare for terrorism, promote terrorism, and are otherwise involved in terrorism as well. Whoever does any act with the intent to threaten or likely to threaten the integrity, unity, security, sovereignty of the country with the intent to strike terror or likely to strike terror in the hearts of the people or any section of the people is said to be indulging in terrorism in India or any other foreign country by using equipments like bombs, dynamite, and other explosive substances, inflammable substances as well, or firearms which are lethal substances to strike terror or likely to strike terror in people or section of people, whether in India or abroad. This is a broad definition of terrorism given by the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. The next is about National Maritime Heritage Complex to be set up at Lothal. So this is the next most important issue. Lothal is the old port of the Indus Valley civilization. We had trade with the Egypt civilization, with the West Asian civilization, etc. So Lothal was an important port. And the next most important is about persona non grata. Now, this phrase was in use because Israel pronounced persona non grata Secretary General of United Nations Antonio Guterres, and because of this there was a resolution in the United Nations General Council against Israel, condemning Israel, banning the entry of the highest or the topmost official Antonio Guterres to Israel. India withstood this resolution. So what is persona non grata? In diplomacy, persona non grata means to describe someone who is not welcomed or not wanted. Usually diplomats, if they have any problem with the existing country, they are sent away to the home country. They are called as persona non grata, and by describing Antonio Guterres as persona non grata, Israel asked him indirectly not to come to Israel. So this is about the persona non grata. There are various commodity boards in India. Other than that, there are various other organizations that promote exports of the products. Commodity boards, all these 5 function under the Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and they are for tea, coffee, rubber, spices and tobacco. We have the tea board at Kolkata, coffee board at Bangalore, spices at Kochi, tobacco at Guntur and rubber at Kottayam. And the next most is about Merostomata, a living fossil. So this was a news because this creature is called as living fossil or Merostomata, as it has not changed since a millennium. And these organisms are found in the ocean, so it's none other than the horseshoe crab, not eaten but definitely very important from the pharmaceutical point of view. This now horseshoe crab has been dwindling in numbers. It's found on very few coasts. One of them is in Odisha, Balasore. So recently, the Zoological Survey of India has began to tag the crabs to note where they habitat, their movement, etc., so that they can study more about them, and more breeding of these crabs is also being promoted because their numbers are dwindling because of anthropogenic causes. So Merostomata living fossils, or the black or the horseshoe crab, has been shrinking, and now there is tagging of them with Odisha government along with the Zoological Zoological Survey of India. Horseshoe crabs are not much known, therefore the ICUN also states them as data deficient, and they are listed in the Schedule 5 of the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Let me tell you, the blue blood of the crab is used to produce a rapid diagnostic reagent, luminous amebocyte lysate, which is essential for testing the toxicity of injectable drugs. And 1 liter of horseshoe crab blood or blue blood can fetch about few lakhs of rupees due to biomedical applications, and therefore this creature is now being preserved, and also it has not undergone any change, and it's called as Merostomata, a living fossil, and therefore its population dynamics, habitat and conservation are crucial to conserve these crabs, which are very, very useful from the pharmaceutical point of view. These are some of the points that I wanted to discuss with you with regard to 10th and 11th for your points that you need to remember for the upcoming UPSC preliminary examination of 2025. If you did please do share and subscribe if you did find this helpful. And other than, it's very happy learning. I shall see you in the next post.